Traces vanish, clues fade, and heartbreaking stories linger, waiting for answers. Today, we unravel one of the most haunting mysteries in modern history: the disappearance of Natalee Holloway. A young woman with dreams of becoming a doctor vanished during a celebratory trip to Aruba, leaving behind a void that gripped the world for nearly 2 decades. What happened on that fateful night in May 2005? Join us as we explore the chilling details, the desperate search for truth, and the shocking confession that finally brought closure to a case that refused to be forgotten. Natalee Ann Holloway was born on October 21, 1986, in Memphis, Tennessee, the eldest of 2 children to David Edward Holloway and Elizabeth Ann Reynolds. After her parents' divorce in 1993, Natalee moved with her mother and younger brother, Matthew, to Mountain Brook, Alabama, a quiet, affluent suburb. Her mother later married George Twitty, a local businessman, providing the family with financial stability. Natalee thrived at Mountain Brook High School, graduating in 2005 with stellar academic achievements. Her intelligence and dedication earned her a full scholarship to the University of Alabama, where she planned to pursue a Prem degree with aspirations of becoming a doctor. Known for her vibrant personality, Natalee was a natural leader. She was deeply involved in school activities, took on leadership roles among her peers, and was beloved for her kindness and commitment to social causes. Friends and family described her as someone who lit up any room, with a contagious enthusiasm for life and a heart dedicated to helping others. Her volunteer work outside of school showcased her compassion, and her academic excellence reflected her discipline. Natalee had a bright future ahead until a celebratory trip turned into an unimaginable tragedy. On May 26, 2005, Natalee joined 124 of her Mountain Brook High School classmates for a senior class trip to Aruba, a Caribbean island known for its pristine beaches and vibrant nightlife. The trip was meant to be a carefree celebration of their graduation, a final moment of freedom before embarking on their adult lives. Accompanied by 7 chaperones, the group was given significant freedom, as the chaperones were not required to monitor the students constantly. For Natalee and her friends, this meant late nights, parties, and for some, heavy alcohol consumption. According to hotel staff, the group's behavior, particularly their drinking, was noticeable and at times excessive. Natalee, like many of her peers, embraced the festive atmosphere, spending evenings at popular spots like Carlo's and Charlie's, a well-known nightclub in Oranjestad, Aruba's capital. The trip was filled with laughter and memories until the night of May 30, 2005, the final night before their return to the United States. On that fateful night, Natalee was last seen leaving Carlo's and Charlie's with 3 young men: Joran van der Sloot, a 17-year-old Dutch honor student living on Aruba, and brothers Deepak and Satish Kalpo. The trio claimed they dropped Natalee off at her hotel, the Holiday Inn, later that night. But when morning came, Natalee was nowhere to be found. She missed the group's departure for the airport, and her belongings, passport, clothes, and personal items remained untouched in her hotel room. Panic set in among her classmates and chaperones. It was clear something was terribly wrong. Natalee's mother, Elizabeth Beth Twitty, and stepfather George were notified immediately. Without hesitation, they chartered a private jet and arrived in Aruba within hours. Beth's determination to find her daughter was immediate and unrelenting. Armed with a mother's instinct, she began her own investigation, questioning hotel staff and tracking down leads. Within hours of landing, Beth learned from a Holiday Inn night porter that Natalee had been seen with Joran van der Sloot and the Kalpo brothers. This became the first critical clue in a case that would soon captivate the world. The Aruba Police Department launched an investigation under intense pressure from Natalee's family and growing media attention. Security footage from the Holiday Inn was reviewed, but it confirmed that Natalee never returned to her hotel that night. Joran and the Kalpoe brothers were brought in for questioning. Their initial statements were vague and inconsistent. Joran claimed he had dropped Natalee off at the Holiday Inn, while the Kalpoes offered similar but slightly conflicting accounts. The discrepancies in their stories raised immediate red flags. Despite these inconsistencies, the lack of physical evidence meant the three were released after initial questioning. Meanwhile, Aruba mobilized an unprecedented search effort. Hundreds of volunteers, including local residents, government employees, and 50 Dutch Marines, scoured the island. Beaches, forests, and coastal waters were searched extensively. The Arashi Beach area and the California Lighthouse, where Joran claimed to have taken Natalee, were combed thoroughly. Divers explored underwater sites, and landfills, vacant lots, and abandoned buildings were inspected. A $20,000 fund was raised to support the volunteer efforts. Yet, no trace of Natalee, no phone, purse, or shoes was ever found. On June 5, 2005, the police arrested two former security guards from a nearby hotel, Mickey John and Abraham Jones, based on tips from Joran and the Kalpoes. The guards were suspected of kidnapping and murder, with allegations that they had a history of targeting female tourists. However, after thorough interrogations, no evidence linked them to Natalee's disappearance, and they were released on June 13th. Attention quickly shifted back to Joran van der Sloot and the Kalpoe brothers, who were arrested again on June 9th under Aruban law. Authorities could detain suspects based on strong suspicion, and the trio's changing stories fueled doubts. Joran claimed that they had taken Natalee to Arashi Beach and left her there, while the Kalpoes said they had left Joran and Natalee alone at the beach. In another version, Joran alleged Natalee was intoxicated and unwell, and he left her because he had school the next day. These conflicting accounts deepened suspicions but yielded no concrete evidence. Natalee's disappearance sparked a media frenzy in the United States, amplified by Beth Twitty's tireless advocacy. Beth became the public face of the search, giving interviews, holding press conferences, and criticizing the Aruban authorities for what she perceived as incompetence. "I cannot get answers about my daughter's fate," she said in one emotional interview. "Since I arrived here, nothing has changed, and the authorities haven't even found the smallest clue about where my daughter is." Her words resonated globally, turning Natalee's case into an international scandal. Beth's relentless pursuit of justice included living in Natalee's hotel room, preserving her belongings untouched in hopes of her return. She organized prayer vigils, rallied local support, and spent days walking Aruba's beaches, searching for any sign of her daughter. Her raw emotion and unyielding determination made her a symbol of a mother's love and resilience. However, her outspoken criticism of the Aruban police drew backlash. Local journalist Julia Renfro accused Beth of exaggerating the case for media attention. Though Beth's supporters saw her as a grieving mother fighting for justice, Beth and David Holloway even called for a tourism boycott of Aruba, supported by Alabama Governor Bob Riley, who urged Americans to avoid the island. Aruba's Prime Minister, Nelson Oduber, called the boycott irresponsible and denied that Aruba posed a threat. The boycott intensified the case's international profile, making Natalee's disappearance a societal issue far beyond a single missing person case. As the investigation stalled, Joran van der Sloot's actions grew increasingly suspicious. In 2008, he told an undercover Dutch journalist that Natalee had died in his presence and that he had disposed of her body. He later retracted the statement, claiming it was a lie to impress the reporter. In 2010, Joran contacted Beth directly, offering to reveal Natalee's bodies. Location for $250,000. Desperate for answers, Beth paid the money only to learn Joran had lied again. He claimed Natalee's remains were under a building near the Aruba Racket Club, but investigations revealed no such structure existed at the time. The betrayal was a devastating blow to Beth, exploiting her grief for profit. Joran's behavior continued to raise alarms. In 2010, exactly 5 years after Natalee's disappearance, 21-year-old Stephanie Flores was found dead in a Lima, Peru hotel room. Joran, who had met Flores at a casino, was arrested and later convicted of her murder, receiving a 28-year sentence. Evidence suggested Flores had discovered files on Joran's laptop related to Natalee's case, possibly triggering his violent reaction. In 2021, Joran received an additional 18-year sentence for smuggling cocaine into prison, though Peruvian law caps his total sentence at 35 years, with a potential release date of June 10, 2045. As years passed without answers, speculation grew. Some believed Natalee had been abducted, possibly linked to illegal activities tied to Joran or his father, a prominent Aruban judge. Others theorized she might still be alive, suffering from amnesia or held against her will. These theories, while unlikely, kept hope alive for Beth, who chased every lead. The lack of physical evidence, no body, no belongings, fueled doubts about the Aruban authorities' handling of the case. Many suspected a cover-up, possibly to protect Joran due to his father's influence. The case's stagnation led to frustration. Beth's $1 million reward for information yielded no results. In 2012, a judge declared Natalee legally deceased, a painful step for her family. The ruling acknowledged their loss but provided no closure. The Holloway family was trapped in a cycle of grief, clinging to fading hope. In June 2023, a breakthrough finally came. Joran van der Sloot was extradited to Alabama to face charges of wire fraud and extortion related to his 2010 scam against Beth. As part of a plea deal, he provided a chilling confession. Joran admitted that on the night of May 30, 2005, he and Natalee were at Arashi Beach when she rejected his advances and kneed him in self-defense. He retaliated by kicking her in the face, rendering her unconscious. In a horrifying act, he then used a cinder block to strike her head until she stopped moving. He dragged her body into the ocean and walked home, resuming his life as if nothing had happened, checking soccer scores, showering, and attending school the next day. Joran's confession, backed by a polygraph test, confirmed he acted alone, clearing the Calpo brothers of involvement. He was sentenced to 20 years for extortion and wire fraud, to be served concurrently with his Peruvian sentence. If released early from Peru, he will return to the U.S. to complete his sentence. The confession provided long-awaited answers but revealed a brutality that shocked even seasoned investigators. Joran's emotionless recounting of the crime delivered with chilling detachment left the courtroom reeling. Outside the Alabama courthouse, Beth Holloway addressed the world. "It's over," she said, her voice steady but heavy with emotion. "Joran van der Sloot is no longer the suspect in my daughter's murder. He is the killer." Facing Joran in court, Beth spoke directly to him. "You are responsible, and I want you to remember that every time that jail cell door slams shut." Her words carried the weight of nearly 2 decades of pain, resilience, and unrelenting love for her daughter. U.S. Attorney Prim Escalona acknowledged the Holloway family's suffering. "I cannot imagine the heartache, the sleepless nights, and the countless tears Beth and her family must have shed." Judge Anna Manasco condemned Joran's actions, noting that he had taken the lives of 2 young women. Natalee and Stephanie Flores in separate incidents, both for rejecting his advances. Beth's strength became a beacon for grieving families everywhere. Her fight for justice, a testament to a mother's love. Natalee Holloway's case is etched into the collective memory of not just America but the world. A haunting reminder of a life cut short and a family's unyielding quest for truth. The tragedy transcended a single missing person case, sparking global conversations about safety, justice, and the vulnerabilities of young travelers abroad. For nearly 2 decades, Natalee's name was synonymous with mystery. Her story fueled by a relentless cycle of media coverage, false leads, and public fascination. Documentaries, podcasts, and books dissected every detail, from the initial search efforts to the conflicting statements of suspects, keeping the case alive in the public's imagination. The case exposed deep flaws in international investigations, particularly in jurisdictions like Aruba, where local authorities faced scrutiny for their handling of the case. Many questioned whether Joran van der Sloot's father, a prominent judge, influenced the investigation's early stages, allowing Joran and the Kalpoe brothers to evade serious consequences initially. The lack of physical evidence and the authorities' inability to secure a conviction fueled perceptions of a cover-up, deepening mistrust between Aruban officials and Natalee's family. This tension highlighted broader issues of accountability and privilege, as Joran's ability to manipulate the narrative through false confessions and extortion underscored how those with connections can exploit legal systems. Beth Holloway's advocacy transformed the case into a movement. Her tireless efforts to keep Natalee's story alive inspired countless others to advocate for missing persons. She founded the International Safe Travels Foundation to educate young people and their families about travel safety, aiming to prevent similar tragedies. The foundation's work emphasized practical measures, such as staying in groups, avoiding excessive alcohol consumption, and maintaining constant communication with loved ones while abroad. Beth's book, Loving Natalee, A Mother's Testament of Hope and Faith, offered an intimate look at her grief and resilience, becoming a source of inspiration for parents facing unimaginable loss. The book detailed her emotional journey, from the frantic early days in Aruba to the painful realization that answers might never come. David Holloway's contributions were equally significant. In 2016, he hired private investigator T.J. Ward to re-examine the case, hoping to uncover new leads. Though these efforts yielded no breakthroughs, they reflected the family's refusal to give up. David's participation in memorials and public events ensured Natalee's memory remained a call to action. Together, Beth and David's work elevated the case beyond a personal tragedy, making it a symbol of the broader fight for justice for missing persons worldwide. The case also had a profound cultural impact. It sparked debates about the safety of tourist destinations, particularly in the Caribbean, and led to increased scrutiny of Aruba's tourism industry. The proposed boycott, supported by Alabama Governor Bob Riley, sent shockwaves through Aruba's economy, which heavily relies on tourism. While the boycott was controversial, it underscored the power of collective action in drawing attention to unresolved cases. Natalee's story became a cautionary tale, prompting parents and schools to rethink the structure of senior trips and the level of supervision provided. Joran van der Sloot's actions compounded the tragedy's impact. His manipulation of the Holloway family's grief through lies, false confessions, and extortion revealed a chilling lack of remorse. His subsequent crimes, including the murder of Stephanie Flores and drug smuggling, painted a portrait of a man whose disregard for human life extended beyond Natalee's case. The fact that he continued to exploit Natalee's story for personal gain, even years later, added layers of horror to an already devastating narrative. His 2023 confession, while providing closure, left a bitter aftertaste, as the brutality of his
Eiborg-Kakerlaken können dann für
actions and his
zivile
emotionless delivery shocked those who had followed the case for years. Natalee's absence left a void that could never be filled. The lack of a body meant there was no funeral, no grave to visit. Only memories of a vibrant young woman whose dreams of becoming a doctor were stolen. Her story resonated with millions, not just because of its tragic end, but because it highlighted the fragility of safety and the enduring power of a family's love. Natalee's case became a touchstone for discussions about justice reform, victim advocacy, and the need for international cooperation in solving cross-border crimes. Natalee Holloway's disappearance began as a mystery, shrouded in uncertainty, but ended as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the depths of human cruelty. For nearly 2 decades, her family lived in a liminal space, caught between hope and despair, chasing answers that seemed forever out of reach. Joran van der Sloot's 2023 confession, delivered with chilling detachment, finally revealed the horrifying truth. A young woman's life was taken in, a moment of senseless violence. Her body lost to the ocean, her future erased. The brutality of the act, coupled with Joran's lack of remorse, left an indelible mark on all who followed the case. Beth Holloway's journey, from a mother's desperate search to a beacon of advocacy, is a testament to the strength of love in the face of unimaginable loss. Her words in court, "You are responsible, and I want you to remember that every time that jail cell door slams shut," echoed the pain and resilience of a family that never gave up. Beth's efforts, alongside David's, ensured that Natalee's story would not fade into obscurity. Through the International Safe Travels Foundation and her book, Beth channeled her grief into a mission to protect others, offering guidance to prevent similar tragedies and support to families navigating the pain of losing a loved one. The case's resolution, tied to Joran's extortion and a confession linked to another crime, underscores its complexity. While justice was served in the form of his 20-year sentence for fraud, the absence of Natalee's remains means the Holloway family will never have complete closure. Beth reflected in court, "I think of the doctor she would have been." Today, she finds solace in her son's life, carrying Natalee's memory forward as a source of inspiration. David, too, continues to honor Natalee through memorials and advocacy, ensuring her story remains a call to action. Natalee's case is more than a true crime story. It's a narrative of resilience, loss, and the enduring fight for justice. It exposed the challenges of international investigations, the pain of unresolved mysteries, and the power of a family's love to spark change. It serves as a warning to young travelers to prioritize safety and a reminder to authorities worldwide to pursue justice relentlessly, no matter how long it takes. Natalee's dreams of healing others may have been stolen, but her legacy lives on through her. Families' efforts to protect others and advocate for the missing. What are your thoughts on Natalee's story? How has it impacted your perspective on safety, justice, or resilience? Share your reflections in the comments below. Your voice adds to the conversation, keeping Natalee's memory alive and raising awareness for others who are still missing. Thank you for joining us in exploring this unforgettable case. Stay vigilant, cherish those you love, and we'll see you in the next video.